So, um, I was in WeHo. So WeHo, what is that? That's a place, and I'm still here, but I'm gonna get the fuck out of here. Um, I keep seeing shit that like goes against who I am. As a guy, I'm just like, I can't do it. I need to see my bitches. I'd rather see them than see this shit. And it ain't the, scenery really, that's not the problem. It's more of the, people who live here, it's kind of just not a place that I want to fucking be at. You know, I wouldn't say it's, violent or anything, but it's the type of shit you just don't want to be around, if you know what I mean. I don't swing that kind of way. You know what I'm saying? And it's very apparent here that there's people, like most of the people that live around here are kind of like that. Not all of them, but a good majority of them are. And I'm just like, okay, that's what they do. And my goal is to not, see that. I'm trying to see, bitches that are on, the internet, people that are known. That's why I'm out here. But I'm also out here to make money too. And I'm like, okay, guess what? I'm gonna make money. And I made money right before I came here, because I was in Central City. And Central City was cool. And then I was like, I should use this to, get some other things, right? So I can actually start making real money. But then I was like, no, my stomach hurts, because like I'm out here and I'm a guy, like I have to fucking eat or I'll die, So I was like, okay, I'll do that. I'm running around and I see this, and I'm like, and I hear about WeHo, and people are like, West Hollywood, West Hollywood. West Hollywood, it has like, different shops and different food places on it, just like everywhere else in Los Angeles. Every other like known spot that you could stay, like, fucking, Beverly Hills and Santa Monica and, you know, other places. I think I like NoHo better than, WeHo. And it's because it ain't, it would be cool in WeHo if these hoes were around in WeHo, right? Like I thought. But they don't fuck around in WeHo. They fuck around other places. These sexual beings that I'm after, they're not here. They fuck around and play games too much. And WeHo was, I did it in my time here. And I needed to see WeHo anyways because, West Hollywood, it's Hollywood, and I'm like, okay, let me see what's going on here, and I just don't like the vibe too much. It's not like I ain't saying it's the worst place to be, but it's just like not for me. I'm just like, um, I like I just don't like it. I'll never come here with a female either. If she likes it here, I'll be like, I don't know why we're here. We should go somewhere like Santa Monica or somewhere else, because this is not where I want to be. So I'm gonna like get out of here and I'm gonna find some other spots. Keep hopping around, find my money and stuff. But I had to say that real quick. Because I do go places and I do know places. So people saying that I don't know shit or I don't actually go out and find shit, I actually do. So nice try to those people, and keep watching my YouTube videos. And for my followers, I'm sorry that these videos are not the best quality and everything else, but I'm gonna try better. I really am. It's hard when you don't have the things you need to like actually get going. You know, you don't have your no, when you just don't have your fucking money right. When everything is, it's almost like I get to a certain point where I have like enough money, right? Or almost enough money. But then, like, the survival instincts kick in, and you like need food and water, and I'm like, what the fuck, I am. It's like, what the fuck, this shit's not easy at all, yo. But this story is about that. This is about a guy coming from nothing and turning himself into something great. It ain't about what they're saying. They're kind of pussies. They got their pussies hurt. They got sand in their pussy. Those people. Um, their pussies are hurt. I heard some people who had their pussy hurt. Um, but yeah, I'm out here, trying to do that. I have to regain like $150 so I can get my, birth certificate, or something like that. Really, I'm gonna find a job real quick. We ain't even worried about that. Not really. You know, it just sucks that we're out here. So prayers in the comment section that I get out of this situation. And I find my hoes, I fuck around with them. Hopefully she, opens her fucking door like she's supposed to. That's what I've been, needing. Her to just be, step forward and be like, hey, I see how you are, and I don't want to see you like that. Can you please stay the night at my house? Of course I will. You're a beautiful female that I want to, fuck around with. And I ain't gonna say shit like that, but I'll be greatly, accepting of her offer and everything else, and I'll, definitely care for her. I'll definitely, do what I have to do there, but um, till then, I'm just gonna be out here, and then, I'm presenting my videos on the Green Angel channel a different way. So I'll have to be on this channel, presenting my face like this. But y'all, yeah, do what you gotta do in your life. People are trying to shit on you and stuff. It ain't easy, and it ain't, and I know this because I've been, outside for a year now, and I'm trying to get a truck. That's what I really want. But when people don't want to give you a job, it's hard. I've been jobless for a year, and that shit's not cool. Trying to find people who can just, help me out with some money real quick. Real money too. Not people being generous and, giving me food here and there. I've been, getting by like that. But it's time I actually, make some fucking real moves out here. But with all that being said, the main point of this video is WeHo is not a place that I would want to be. It isn't the worst place to, stay at, but it's also a place where I just don't want to see, and I just don't want to be. People seem to be peaceful or whatever, but it's still not a place I want to be. Especially since those hoes ain't out here. So I'll be running around Los Angeles a little more, and then, I might decide to go somewhere else. But be cool going on the sidewalk. Or really, you ain't being on the sidewalk. Be at your place and do what you gotta do. But I'm looking for some funds. So I gotta find my money real quick. And that's true. But yeah, keep doing what you gotta do. And I'm gonna keep doing what I gotta do. Cause that's who I am.